The Copper Complexion of Freedmen, a Legacy of Slavery, born in the United States. The copper undertone seen among freedmen is not a random shade variation. It is a distinct and enduring trait shaped entirely on U.S. soil. This complexion comes from the blending of copper natives who were already here with Africans who were forcibly brought to the United States during the transatlantic slave trade, and it has been preserved by the North American environment for centuries. This copper hue is a U.S.-born trait. It is not the same tone found among Caribbeans, Africans, South Americans, or melanated Europeans. It belongs to the freedmen population because it was created under the specific historical, genetic, and environmental conditions of slavery in the United States. The first generation under chattel slavery. Africans did not choose to leave their homelands. They were captured, sold, and transported against their will to North America. Once here, they were bound under the brutal system of chattel slavery, which stripped them of freedom, family connections, and cultural ties. When these Africans had children in the United States, often through non-consensual unions with copper natives, Europeans, or other enslaved Africans, those children became the first generation born into American slavery. From the first generation to the freedmen, these first-generation U.S.-born enslaved people were not Africans in identity. They were something new, shaped by the laws, conditions, and realities of life in the United States. Over multiple generations, as slavery continued, their descendants shared a common U.S.-born heritage rooted in bondage. When emancipation finally came, the surviving descendants of these original U.S.-born enslaved people became known as freedmen. Shaped by slavery in the United States, generations of forced mixing between copper natives, Africans who had been brought here by force, and Europeans' altered skin undertones, producing a warm, reddish-brown hue, historically described as copper-colored. This tone became a signature freedman trait, tied directly to the historical conditions of slavery on U.S. soil and unlike the complexions of other world populations. Preserved by the North American environment. Once established, this copper undertone endured. Freedmen lived for centuries in the varied climates of North America, especially in the Southeast. The seasonal sun exposure was strong enough to maintain deep melanin while also allowing warm undertones to remain visible, even in the deepest brown complexions. The result is that copper warmth appears across the entire freedman complexion range, from the lightest to the darkest skin, as a consistent marker of shared history. A trait that tells our story. Light copper, seen more often in freedmen with higher European ancestry. Medium deep copper brown, common among those with mixed ancestry rooted primarily in U.S. slavery. Dark brown with copper undertone, found in freedmen with minimal European ancestry, copper shows in sunlight. This undertone is not just a matter of looks. It is a physical record of history, showing how copper natives and Africans forced into chattel slavery were mixed under oppression, and how their U.S.-born descendants became the freedmen over generations. Why the copper complexion matters. To understand the copper undertone is to understand the freedmen's story. It reflects the merging of copper natives with Africans who were forcibly transported to the U.S. and the survival of their descendants through slavery and into emancipation. The copper tone is a living testament to our origin and endurance as a people. It is a reminder that the freedmen are a U.S.-born nation, forged in the crucible of slavery, carrying in our very skin the history of our struggle and resilience, a tone found nowhere else in the world.